Money is not a thing to be chased, nor a treasure to be hoarded. It is a divine idea, an eternal current that flows without beginning or end. The supply of money is as boundless as the air we breathe, as ceaseless as the tide that rushes to the shore. When one stands in alignment with the infinite, money reveals itself not as pieces of paper, but as a symbol of God's inexhaustible abundance. To ask, "How can I have unlimited money?" is to ask, "How can I tune my life to the frequency of the infinite?" For in truth, there is no limitation except that which the mind has built. Every thought of lack is a wall that shuts out the radiant supply, and every thought of abundance is a key that swings the gates wide open. Money comes not through struggle, worry, or striving, but through recognition. The soul must know that it is already heir to all riches, already standing in the kingdom where there is no scarcity. To declare, "I am one with infinite supply," is to call forth rivers of prosperity from unseen sources. The world of form rearranges itself when the inner word is spoken with faith. Unlimited money cannot be gained by fear or greed, for these are shadows that dissolve in the light. Unlimited money appears when one sees money not as master, but as servant. It is obedient to the law of consciousness. Whatever the mind accepts deeply, life reflects unfailingly. If the mind accepts limitation, poverty appears. If the mind accepts plenty, money flows in streams from expected and unexpected avenues. The question is not, "Where will it come from?" The question is, "Do I believe?" For when belief is anchored in divine order, the channels open effortlessly. Money may come as opportunities, as gifts, as new ideas, as sudden favor, as doors swinging open where there were once only walls. The source is invisible, but the supply is visible. The origin is infinite, but the manifestation is exact. To live in the consciousness of unlimited money is to release resentment, envy, and doubt. One must bless the wealth of others, knowing it is proof of the same law at work. What is done for one is done for all. When you see another prosper, it is the universe saying, "Look, this too is possible for you." Every word spoken is a seed, and every belief held is a blueprint. Speak lack, and you bind yourself. Speak abundance, and you free yourself. Say with conviction, "There is no limit to my supply. Money comes to me in perfect ways. I give freely and fearlessly, and in return I receive without measure." In that affirmation lies the secret. Money is not made. It is magnetized. It is not earned. It is expressed. The great truth is this: unlimited money is already yours. It waits at the threshold of your faith, eager to enter when you swing the door wide with fearless expectation. Money is a divine idea, not a material struggle. To the ordinary mind, money appears as coins, notes, figures in a ledger, or numbers glowing on a screen. Yet these are but shadows, outer garments worn by an eternal principle. The true essence of money is invisible, a current of divine supply that cannot be measured by human arithmetic. When one sees only the form, one is caught in the illusion of struggle, of grasping and holding, of fearing loss. But when the veil is lifted, it is revealed that money is an idea in the universal mind, inexhaustible, ever present, and waiting only for recognition. The struggle dissolves the moment this truth is understood, for struggle belongs to the world of separation, while divine ideas flow effortlessly from source to expression. When you view money as material, you enter a battlefield. The thought of competition rises, fear of scarcity takes root, envy grows, and greed attempts to hoard what it believes is limited. This is the great deception of the material view. It makes money appear as though it can only be gained through toil, worry, or even dishonesty. Yet the divine idea knows nothing of scarcity. It is infinite, just as light is infinite, just as air surrounds all, just as the ocean cannot be emptied by the filling of a single cup. The divine nature of money makes it beyond loss or depletion. There is no struggle in light shining, nor in rivers flowing, nor in trees bearing fruit. So it is with money when seen as divine supply. It flows because flow is its nature. To live in alignment with this idea, one must shift the thought from, "I must earn, I must grasp, I must protect," to, "I allow, I trust, I receive." Money as a divine idea answers faith, not effort. That does not mean one does nothing, but rather that action springs from inspiration instead of fear. The inspired act carries the stamp of success, for it is moved by the law of abundance. Fearful action, on the other hand, closes channels and tightens the grip around supply, as though money could be possessed rather than expressed. Divine ideas are never possessed, they are lived. When you speak of money as divine, you step into the field of grace. Grace is the effortless operation of divine law. The farmer does not make the seed grow by anxious watching, nor does the gardener force the rose to bloom by pulling at its petals. Growth is inherent, bloom is certain. Supply is inevitable when conditions are aligned, so too with money. When the soil of thought is cleared of weeds of fear and watered with the words of truth, the harvest must appear. Struggle is the refusal to trust the invisible, while recognition of the divine idea is the surrender that invites the inevitable. This recognition transforms the way one interacts with money. Instead of clinging, one gives. Instead of fearing loss, one blesses what is spent. Instead of doubting the flow, one declares its continuity. For if money is divine, then it cannot run dry. The fountain may shift its channel, but the spring does not cease to pour forth. To believe money is material is to place faith in the cup, which may be broken, emptied, or lost. To believe money is divine is to place faith in the fountain, which forever renews and fills whatever vessel is at hand. Every thought held about money reveals whether you see it as material struggle or divine idea. A thought of limitation says, I must hold tight, for there is not enough. A thought of abundance says, I give freely, for the source is endless. A thought of fear says, what if it leaves me? A thought of truth says, it flows unceasingly, for it is infinite. The one who believes money is divine never begs, never worries, never envies, for they know that what belongs to them by divine right cannot be withheld. The one who sees money as material lives in anxiety, chasing shadows, fearing tomorrow, and grasping at passing forms. It is said that ideas rule the world, and indeed they do. The idea you hold about money determines the reality you live with it. If the idea is struggle, then struggle appears. If the idea is flow, then flow appears. The universe mirrors consciousness unfailingly. To declare money as divine is to open the door to channels unseen, to attract opportunities, gifts, and resources without strain. Money comes in perfect ways when seen as divine, because divine ideas always fulfill themselves with precision. The invisible law arranges people, circumstances, and events to bring forth supply, as surely as the earth brings forth a harvest in season. When you see money as divine, gratitude takes the place of worry. Gratitude is the recognition that supply already exists, that the universe has already answered, that the need is already met. This recognition calls forth more, for the law is clear: what you praise, you raise. To complain of lack is to multiply lack. To give thanks for abundance is to multiply abundance. Gratitude sees beyond appearances and anchors itself in the truth that money is not material. It is spiritual. It is not something to fight for, but something to align with. It is not earned by sweat alone, but attracted by consciousness. In this understanding, the act of giving and receiving becomes sacred. Giving is not loss but multiplication. Every gift sent forth in faith returns increased, because it is rooted in the recognition that money is a divine idea and therefore circulates endlessly. The miser who clings sees only material money and fears its departure. The one who gives freely sees divine money and trusts its return. Just as the ocean never loses by sending a wave to the shore, so the giver never loses by sending money forth. It is a wave that must return, often larger than before, for such is the rhythm of divine law. The moment you cease to struggle, the moment you cease to chase, the moment you let go of the belief that money is limited, you step into freedom. Freedom is the natural state of divine ideas. Freedom is the knowing that no circumstance, no person, no system can block what is yours by right of consciousness. Money does not come from a boss, a business, or a bank account. These are channels, but not the source. The source is infinite, unseen, unfailing. To confuse channel with source is to live in bondage. To know the source is to live in peace. Lack is only a belief, abundance is a recognition. To the eye that sees through appearances, lack seems real. It appears in empty purses, in unpaid bills, in the gnawing thought of not enough. Yet this vision is not truth, but a shadow cast by belief. Lack has no substance of its own. It is a condition of the mind reflected in the outer world. The moment one believes in limitation, the outer life obeys and presents limitation in form. The moment one recognizes abundance, the outer life shifts and reveals abundance in form. The world of matter is a mirror, and the mirror reflects the image held within. Every experience of lack begins as a thought. A child is not born believing in poverty. A child trusts that food will appear, that warmth will be provided, that life will unfold. Beliefs of lack are learned through fear, through repetition of the words of those who themselves lived in limitation. These beliefs become laws within the subconscious, and the outer world acts them out faithfully. Yet no belief is permanent, and no belief is truth unless we continue to give it power. Lack is a mask worn by the mind. When the mask is removed, abundance stands revealed. Abundance is not something created, for it already exists. Everywhere in nature, the principle of plenty is displayed. The earth produces more seeds than can be planted. The ocean holds more drops than can be counted. The stars spread farther than vision can reach. Scarcity does not exist in divine design. It is a construct of human fear. Recognition of abundance is not wishful thinking but awakening to reality. It is the realization that supply is infinite, that channels are many, and that what is required is always already present in some form. To believe in lack is to close the eyes to what is near. It is to declare, there is nothing, even while standing in a field full of opportunity. To recognize abundance is to open the eyes and say, all that I need is here, though it may yet be unseen. Faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. Recognition is the act of faith that transforms shadow into substance. Words carry power, for they are the carriers of belief. When one speaks lack, one calls lack into form. When one declares abundance, one summons abundance. To say, I cannot afford, is to tie the hands of supply. To say, everything I need is provided, is to swing wide the door to provision. The law of life is unfailing. What is recognized inwardly appears outwardly. Lack is not fought with struggle, it is dissolved by recognition. Consider how two people may face the same situation. One sees limitation, speaks of hardship, worries about tomorrow, and remains bound by lack. Another sees possibility, speaks words of faith, trusts in unseen supply, and finds ways open that others did not see. The difference lies not in the circumstance but in the belief. The same soil can grow weeds or flowers, depending on what seed is planted. The mind is the soil, belief is the seed. Lack is the harvest of fear, abundance is the harvest of trust. The practice of recognition begins with thought. To recognize abundance is to deliberately turn away from appearances of limitation and affirm the truth of plenty. When bills arrive, one can either sigh with dread or declare, these are opportunities for supply to appear. When money seems scarce, one can either shrink in fear or affirm, the universe is rich and provides in perfect ways. Recognition does not deny appearances, it reinterprets them, it insists on truth beyond shadow. Belief in lack often hides beneath habits of worry, envy, and doubt. Worry is the rehearsal of limitation. Envy is the declaration that supply is limited and that another's gain is your loss. Doubt is the refusal to trust the source of abundance. Each of these can be released when one understands that abundance is not stolen, not scarce, not fragile. The supply of life is infinite, and each person has their own channel through which it flows. Recognition of abundance in another's life strengthens your own, for it affirms the law at work universally. Abundance is recognized not only in money, but in every area of life. The smile of a stranger, the beauty of a flower, the warmth of the sun, the friendship that appears in time of need. All are signs of the abundant nature of the universe. When one trains the eye to see abundance in small things, it becomes natural to expect it in larger things. The habit of recognition creates the atmosphere in which supply flows easily. Lack cannot survive in the presence of consistent recognition, for the mind that sees abundance refuses to accept poverty as real. There is a deep peace in realizing that lack is only a belief. It means that no matter what the outer condition may be, it has no true power. Conditions shift when beliefs shift. If lack were reality, no change would be possible. Because it is belief, transformation is always possible. A new recognition can alter a lifetime of limitation. The moment one truly sees abundance as reality, life begins to reorganize itself to reflect that truth. Opportunities appear, doors open, ideas flow. Help arrives, resources gather, and what once seemed impossible becomes natural. This is why it is said that prosperity begins in consciousness. Outer wealth without inner recognition is fragile, for the belief in lack will eventually dissolve it. But inner recognition of abundance creates wealth that endures, for it is rooted in the eternal. To live in recognition is to walk in freedom, to give without fear, to receive without guilt, to trust without doubt. It is to know that the source is infinite and the supply is unending. Money flows when aligned with faith, not fear. Faith is the substance that gives form to invisible supply, the unseen conviction that the universe is abundant and responsive. Fear, on the other hand, is the denial of this truth, the anxious insistence that provision may fail, that scarcity might be stronger than abundance. When one aligns with faith, money appears in perfect ways, drawn as surely as a magnet draws iron. When one aligns with fear, money slips away, blocked by the very thought that seeks to cling to it. The invisible law is exact: what you trust, you attract; what you dread, you invite; what you believe, you live. Faith is not hope, nor is it mere wishing. Faith is certainty in the unseen, confidence in the unseen source. Assurance that supply is already prepared though it has not yet been revealed. It is the knowing that every need carries its own provision, that no desire of the heart is planted without the means for its fulfillment. To walk in faith is to stand as if abundance were already visible, to speak words of gratitude before the gift has arrived, to act with confidence in the invisible order. Fear waits for proof before it trusts, but faith provides the proof by trusting. Money flows to the consciousness that expects it. Expectation is the language of faith. To expect lack is to prepare for it, to build doors for its entrance, to call it into being. To expect abundance is to prepare the way for it, to make room for its arrival, to invite it joyfully. The one who lives in faith spends with peace, gives with gladness, saves without fear, and speaks with assurance. The one who lives in fear hoards, hesitates, doubts, and complains, and by so doing shuts off the current of flow. Fear contracts, faith expands. Fear freezes, faith releases. Fear binds the stream, faith opens the floodgates. Money is not a master, it is a servant. It is not a tyrant to be appeased, but a current to be guided. Faith directs the current, for it acknowledges the source as divine and infinite. Fear misuses the current, for it forgets the source and sees only limitation. When money is seen through fear, it becomes heavy, elusive, and scarce. When money is seen through faith, it becomes light, responsive, and abundant. It is the same energy, yet the channel it takes is determined by belief. Faith declares, I am supplied in perfect ways, now and always. Fear whispers, what if it never comes? Faith affirms, every bill is already paid, every need already met. Fear insists, I will not have enough. Faith says, opportunities are unfolding for me, seen and unseen. Fear warns, the door is closed, and no more can appear. Each voice has its own power, for the universe mirrors the consciousness behind the words. To align with faith is to choose the voice of truth. To align with fear is to repeat the lie of lack. The flow of money is like the flow of water in a river. Faith clears the channel so the stream runs smooth, widening its banks and quickening its current. Fear clutters the river with stones of doubt, branches of worry, and dams of resistance. The water itself does not stop existing, but its passage is hindered. Remove the blocks of fear, and the flow is immediate. The supply was always there, waiting only for release. Faith does not argue with appearances. Appearances may suggest lack, but faith sees beyond. The cupboard may look empty, but faith declares, I live in an abundant universe. The account may seem small, but faith affirms. Supply is on its way through perfect channels. Appearances are temporary, truth is eternal. Fear binds itself to appearances and calls them final. Faith holds to truth and watches appearances dissolve into new form. To live by faith with money is to treat every transaction as sacred. When money is given, it is sent forth with blessing, with the declaration that it will return multiplied. When money is received, it is welcomed with gratitude, no matter the amount, for gratitude anchors abundance. When money is spent, faith insists that circulation is the sign of endless flow, not depletion. Fear clings to each coin, resents each payment, and curses each expense, and in doing so it multiplies the very sense of lack it dreads. Faith releases money with joy, knowing it is but a wave of the ocean returning to the sea, sure to come back again in greater strength. Faith opens the way for unexpected channels. Fear imagines only a few sources of supply and panics when they appear closed. Faith knows that the universe is limitless in its avenues, that money can arrive in ways unimagined, that divine order arranges opportunities beyond the reach of human calculation. Fear waits for wages alone. Faith is open to gifts, ideas, opportunities, and surprises. Fear clings to one door, faith trusts the infinite corridor of doors. This alignment with faith is not passive, it calls for action, but action inspired by trust rather than panic. Fear-driven action is hasty, exhausting, and fruitless. Faith-driven action is calm, steady, and effective. The mind aligned with faith receives guidance, a sudden thought, a clear idea, an inner prompting. To act on these with confidence is to walk the path of prosperity. To ignore them in doubt is to turn away from the answer. Faith listens, fear argues. Faith responds, fear hesitates. Faith produces results, fear produces frustration. There is no true prosperity without faith, for material gain without inner certainty is fragile and fleeting. One may gather wealth through fear, yet it breeds anxiety, hoarding, and constant struggle. Faith brings not only money but peace with money, freedom in its use, and joy in its circulation. Fear says, hold on tightly lest it vanish. Faith says, release freely, for more is always coming. Fear lives in suspicion and loss. Faith lives in confidence and increase. Every moment offers the choice between faith and fear. A thought arises. What if there is not enough? This is fear. Replace it with, all my needs are met abundantly. That is faith. A bill arrives, and fear whispers, how will you ever pay this? Faith replies, this is already provided for by divine supply. The practice of catching fear and replacing it with faith is the discipline that aligns consciousness with flow. Each time faith is chosen, the channel widens. Each time fear is indulged, the channel narrows. Blessing others' prosperity multiplies your own. When you look upon the wealth, success, or abundance of another and send forth words of blessing, you align yourself with the law of increase. What you bless, you draw nearer to yourself, for blessing is a recognition of good, and recognition is the magnet of manifestation. To envy another's fortune is to affirm that supply is limited, that another's gain is your loss. Yet the truth is the opposite. The prosperity of one is proof of prosperity for all. The same law that works for another can work for you. The same fountain that fills their cup overflows into yours. There is no competition in divine supply. The sun does not run short because it shines on many. The ocean does not dry because countless rivers pour into it. The earth does not cease to bloom because gardens blossom everywhere. Prosperity is infinite, unmeasured, and without boundary. To believe otherwise is to believe in lack, and lack is only a shadow of thought. The moment you bless abundance wherever you see it, you affirm that the law of abundance is alive, active, and unlimited. In that recognition, you invite the same flow into your own life. Every thought of jealousy, criticism, or resentment toward another's success binds the flow of your own prosperity. When you say, why should they have so much? You declare that you live in a universe of scarcity. When you think, they do not deserve it, you shut yourself off from the very good you desire. Resentment poisons the channel of supply, but blessing clears it. To bless is to acknowledge the good without resistance, to say with sincerity, I rejoice in your prosperity, for it proves that prosperity is possible, and I too partake in the same law. Such words, spoken with faith, lift the consciousness into alignment with increase. The act of blessing shifts the heart from fear to love, from contraction to expansion. Love multiplies, fear diminishes. When you bless, you expand the borders of your own acceptance. You tell the universe, I am ready to receive what I see in others. I am open to the same abundance. I am willing to share in the limitless wealth of life. The universe responds to openness, not resistance. A heart filled with envy is closed, but a heart filled with blessing is open wide to receive. Consider how often people curse the wealth of others without realizing it. They say, the rich are greedy, or it is unfair that they have so much, or money only comes to those who take advantage. These are curses, words that affirm lack and injustice, words that shut out prosperity. To speak such words is to align with poverty consciousness, but to bless is to speak the language of abundance. When you say, I bless their success, for it shows me what is possible, you affirm that wealth is not limited to them but is a universal flow. What you bless in others, you allow in yourself. Blessing is not mere politeness, it is a spiritual act. It sends forth creative energy, shaping your consciousness into harmony with the law of increase. When you bless another's home, you prepare the way for your own. When you bless another's business, you prepare the way for your own. When you bless another's wealth, you prepare the way for your own. Each blessing is a seed sown, and every seed bears fruit. To curse is to sow weeds that choke prosperity. To bless is to sow flowers that bloom in due season. This principle extends beyond money into every area of life. If you long for love, bless the relationships you see around you. If you desire health, bless the vitality you see in others. If you seek opportunity, bless the success you witness in the world. Each blessing lifts you into harmony with the condition you bless. You cannot bless what you secretly despise, nor can you attract what you secretly envy. But the moment you genuinely rejoice in the good of another, you unlock the same door for yourself. Blessing others' prosperity requires sincerity. It is not enough to say the words while harboring bitterness inside. The blessing must be genuine, springing from the recognition that there is enough for all, that the universe is generous beyond measure, that wealth and success are not slices of a limited pie but streams from an endless source. To cultivate this sincerity, one must release the lie of scarcity. Each time the thought of envy arises, replace it with the truth. Their abundance is proof of abundance for me as well. Each time resentment whispers, silence it with blessing. I rejoice in their success, for it foretells my own. A gratitude and blessing walk hand in hand. Gratitude affirms the abundance already present in your life. Blessing affirms the abundance you witness in others. Together they form the atmosphere in which prosperity multiplies. A grateful heart cannot envy, for it sees its own wealth. A blessing heart cannot resent, for it sees wealth as universal. Gratitude says, thank you for what I have. Blessing says, I rejoice in what I see. Both together declare, I live in an abundant universe where supply is without end. Blessing others' prosperity also dissolves the illusion of separation. When you see another's success as your loss, you divide yourself from the universal flow. But when you bless their prosperity, you affirm unity with the law that supplies both you and them. You recognize that you are not apart from abundance, but part of it. Their gain does not reduce you, it proves the law at work. Their wealth does not take from you, it affirms that the source is endless. To bless is to join the rhythm of circulation, where giving and receiving are constant and unlimited. There is a law of reflection at work here. What you send out returns to you multiplied. If you send out curses, resentment, or criticism toward wealth, the reflection is poverty. If you send out blessings, joy, and gratitude toward wealth, the reflection is prosperity. The mirror of life does not discriminate, it only reflects. Your blessings for others return as blessings for you. Your curses for others return as obstacles for you. The choice is yours, and the result is exact. To practice this principle daily is to transform your relationship with money. Each time you encounter wealth, whether in a person, a home, a store, or a possession, silently bless it. Say, I bless this prosperity, and I open myself to the same. Each time you see someone enjoy success, affirm, I rejoice in their abundance, for it proves the law of increase is active for all. Each time envy or resentment arises, turn it into blessing, and watch how swiftly the energy shifts. Over time, this practice rewires the mind to expect prosperity instead of lack, to rejoice instead of resent, to bless instead of curse. Unlimited money is magnetized, not earned. The world has long taught that money is gained only through endless labor, sweat, and struggle, but in truth money is drawn by consciousness, not by effort alone. To believe that money is earned by toil is to bind oneself to limitation. To believe that supply is measured by hours worked or strength expended. Yet money is not a reward for strain but a reflection of thought. It flows to the one who knows it flows. It appears for the one who expects it. It multiplies for the one who welcomes it. To magnetize money is to live in harmony with the law of attraction, which declares that like draws unto like, that belief shapes form, that the invisible governs the visible. A magnet does not chase iron, it draws it. So too, money does not need to be chased when consciousness is aligned with abundance. The person who runs after money with fear, anxiety, or desperation finds it slipping further away, for fear repels what faith attracts. The person who stands in calm assurance, who declares with conviction that supply is infinite and always arriving, becomes a magnet to money. This is not laziness, nor is it passivity, but alignment. It is the knowing that money responds to vibration, not to worry. Effort without alignment is struggle. Alignment without effort is stillness. Alignment joined with inspired action is magnetism. To magnetize money, one must release the belief in limitation. The belief that there is not enough creates a field of resistance, for the magnet of lack cannot draw abundance. The belief that I must struggle to earn creates a life of endless struggle, for life mirrors the inner law one accepts. The belief that money is hard to come by makes money hard to come by. Yet the belief that money comes to me easily and in perfect ways creates ease. The belief that money is always circulating in my life creates circulation. The magnetism is in the thought, the conviction, the word spoken with faith. Unlimited money is not bound to one channel, one job, or one person. It is everywhere, waiting to flow through the open mind and the willing heart. The magnetized consciousness does not cling to a single source, for it knows that the source is infinite. If one channel closes, another opens, often greater than the first. The river does not dry when one branch is blocked, for the current finds another way. To believe that supply can only come from one place is to weaken the magnet. To trust that supply is limitless and flows in countless ways is to strengthen the magnet. The power of magnetism lies in imagination. The mind must see what it desires as already present, must feel the joy of possession before it appears, must give thanks for it as if it were already in hand. This inner seeing creates the vibration that attracts. Money is not magnetized by doubt but by certainty, not by longing but by knowing, not by begging but by claiming. The one who says, I hope it will come, weakens the field, but the one who says, it is mine by right of divine supply, strengthens it. Imagination backed by faith is the magnet that shapes reality. Words too are magnets. Every word spoken sends forth energy, either attracting or repelling supply. To say I am always broke is to magnetize lack. To say I never have enough is to attract insufficiency. To say money comes to me easily and abundantly is to call forth abundance. To say everything I spend returns multiplied is to open the floodgates of increase. Words are not idle sounds but forces, spoken with belief. They charge the atmosphere with magnetism, drawing money to their likeness. Gratitude is one of the strongest magnets of all. When you are grateful for the money you have, no matter how small, you send forth a vibration of increase. Gratitude says to the universe, I recognize abundance, I affirm abundance, I am ready for more. Complaint, on the other hand, weakens the magnet. To complain of lack is to affirm lack, to see only emptiness is to attract more emptiness. Gratitude multiplies what it touches. The magnetized life is a grateful life, seeing every coin as a seed, every payment as circulation, every receipt as proof of the law of supply. Generosity too strengthens the magnet. The one who clutches money in fear weakens their magnetic power, for fear is contraction. The one who gives freely expands their magnetism, for generosity is faith in circulation. To release money with joy is to declare, I live in an abundant universe, and this money returns to me multiplied. The generous hand is a magnet, always filled again. The closed fist holds little and receives less, but the open hand gives and receives without measure. Giving is not loss but multiplication, for every gift sent forth carries the magnetism of increase. The magnetism of unlimited money also requires harmony within. Anger, resentment, and envy are forces of resistance, scattering energy and repelling supply. Peace, joy, and love are forces of attraction, aligning the heart with abundance. To carry bitterness against wealth is to push wealth away. To bless wealth wherever it is found is to draw it near. To curse money as evil is to sever its flow. To honor money as divine circulation is to welcome its presence. Magnetism arises from harmony, and harmony arises from truth that supply is infinite, that abundance is natural, that prosperity is divine. When money is magnetized, it often comes in unexpected ways. Faith opens the door to surprises, gifts, opportunities, and sudden channels of provision. The magnetized mind does not ask, from where, but trusts that the where will appear. The method is the universe's concern. The belief is the individual's. The magnet does not choose which piece of iron it will draw, it simply draws. The consciousness of abundance does not dictate how money must appear, it simply expects that it will. The more one releases the need to control the channel, the stronger the magnet becomes. Magnetism is not about force but attraction. It is not about demanding but aligning. It is not about chasing but allowing. The person who chases money out of fear sends forth the vibration of desperation, and money slips away. The person who stands calm in faith, declaring abundance and giving thanks for supply, draws money naturally, without strain. The magnet does not sweat to attract, it attracts by nature. The magnetized mind attracts by consciousness. This is why unlimited money cannot be earned by labor alone, but is drawn by thought, by belief, by the inner law of attraction.